Okay. Henry McClure live. Here in the Glass Houses studio, getting a little more up close and personal than I usually do because of I gotta get the microphones up and again. My sound mixer rolled crap, so I got to retool. But you can hear me over this. I played back one of my the last video I made. So I want to talk to you today about some real estate first. I want to talk to you about the Orthodox Church, and I want to talk to you about the Orthodox Church real estate. So we've got to get the Huntoon property handled, and I've got some talent. John Bowe's helping me on that deal. But here's the deal I think we should make. Because we've got to get to a new space due to the attendance level. Their attendance has grown. It's doubled since Father Nikolai took over. And we're out of elbow room at their church. And actually, elbow room's kind of a good way to do it because they stand up during church. The Orthodox Church, their first service was Pentecost. And you ought to do some research, some homework on the Orthodox Church. And Father Nikolai is a client of mine. And originally, I said, hey, look, I'm working for you. I got to earn a commission. And then later on, I'm donating time and energy because I love them. Father Nikolai himself is very interesting, and he's an enlightened person, and he understands what makes me tick, I think, and that's good. I think that people of faith, godly people, are the ones that understand me. I'm not saying you don't, you heathens. The heathen side is pretty fun stuff. Back in the day. Pre 4:44 a.m. 5/2/2015. But anyway, hey, Chris, hello. So I guess I should move my camera over so I can see the screen. Man, my place got really disheveled around my office during the campaign for mayor. But I'm telling you something. This idea of creating change in Topeka, it's a little bigger than 4,111 people. When I ran for county commissioner, I had 9,214. But Trump, it was a down ballot. Trump was on the ballot, and I hope we can get a good person to run against Kevin Cook in the county. Don't look at me. I'm going to stay in the real estate business. I'm going to pull a Dan Bongino. Hey, I got to get back to the real estate. I was telling somebody, I said, the alcoholism was just to dumb myself down to fit into Topeka. When you look at some of how people vote in Topeka, thank God there's 411 people, but there are a lot of people that want to make change. And I think the real way, and God bless Robert Williams, because the Citizens Commission is the way to get it done. And this is what I say out loud to you. And we're going to start giving more information on the Citizens Commission. Good to use the world of the disheveled. All right, Chris. Anyway, thanks for tuning in tonight. The secret, I think, is finding people, not a city council person and not a county commissioner today, but the people outside that can appoint people to the Citizens Commission. And we'll get all this. We'll get all this posted, and I just need a little time to recover from the election. It mentally takes up so much time. Friends of mine were saying, Henry, the other dude, he just takes what you're saying and repackages it. Mr. Your Priorities First. I've been doing podcasts for years. I was doing it way before even running for county commission. I really like it when Marshall Barber comes in the studio. That guy cracks me up. I love Marshall. I know a lot about Marshall from just our history in Topeka, going back to KEWI and the Breyer family and things like that. But and also really even back to church. His mom was a deacon in the church and then they were part of St. David's from the beginning, and I'm pretty sure they were probably part of Grace Cathedral prior to 1956. But so Father Nikolai and I were talking today about Islam and how it's affected the Orthodox Church. So Rome pulled away from the Orthodox in around 1100, and then the Episcopalians pulled away from Rome in 1435, something like that, when King Henry, wanted a divorce. So, but the Orthodox Church has been the same ever since. And it was really interesting having a talk with him. And we were also talking about Trump. And I was talking about one of the Episcopalian priests who's commenting on my stuff, and I'm just not going to engage the guy anymore. I don't think priests, he can do whatever he wants. I can't tell a guy what to do. But anyway, you're not going to win. You're not going to change anything by making a stupid comment. He's like, I guess he's a Democrat. Okay, fine. God bless you. But, sticking up for Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and, Trump and, Trump's a bad guy. And I asked him, I go, well, would you smoke a cigar if Bill Clinton gave it to you? Look, Bill Clinton and Stephanopoulos were geniuses on getting Bill Clinton elected. I voted for Ross Perot that year. I admired Bush because of his CIA connection. He was friends with Barack Obama's stepfather, Sarno, who was a black ops guy for CIA. But I liked George Herbert Walker Bush because of his record in World War II. But he was a hell of an oil man. He was a landman. He was a landman down in Midland, and he was a hard worker. I think that's probably where he met, got all his Hilberton connections. But I think the world feared him because of his CIA connections. And as time goes on, we're going to, you're going to really see, I think that one day, I think in my lifetime, we'll really find out who's running the world. It's not Clinton, it's not Trump, but, and it's not Elon Musk, but, there is a deep state within this world, and there's a level that we are so far below it. It's like the difference between Henry McClure and Jimbo in this city. Jimbo's up here, and I'm like a little gnat trying to change Topeka, trying to get people to say, don't reelect the people that are enabling Jimbo. Don't be mad at Jimbo because he's not paying his taxes if he can get away with it. But so many people don't like Jimbo because we've paid all the bond payments out in Lawrence Bay, but nobody's smart enough, or some people are, to see that Cody Foster at the AT&T building, he's milking Topeka worse than Jimbo. And Jimbo says he voted against it at Go Topeka, but Go Topeka is really a government organization. But trying to explain all this stuff, I understand why I was an alcoholic. And what's the big deal about being an alcoholic? There's worse things. Look what Churchill did as an alcoholic. But it's a real stigma and a real scarlet letter. What people don't understand is you can be healed. God can heal you if you ask for the help, if you seek help. And I get all full of myself, being better myself as a human, and think I can actually help the citizens of Topeka. But man, this city, I've never seen so much hate. But I'm learning to embrace the hate and not worry about it. Who cares? I can make a living in the real estate business because that's one thing I know how to do, I'm good at. And I don't have to walk around saying your priorities first, because I've already handled their priorities. That's why we made the deal. That whole guy, and what I really want to do is I want to shut this guy down. I don't want him going on and being in the House or the Senate. He's going to have to work. Okay, you got it, Spencer. It's your town, baby. Let's see you do something. I'm not going to work against you. It's like so many people who want to see Trump fail. I don't want to see Spencer fail. But you got to fix the roads. You've got to take away the money from Go Topeka. You've got to clean the water up. Think about this. For 11 years, or for how many years, whatever. But we just borrowed $11 million to fix the lead pipes. Well, and I could put the timeline on it, but think about it. There was a certain point in time in the past that it was illegal to use lead in new construction. Well, that was the day we needed to start going back and cleaning up all the lead pipe out of the system. So you borrowed $11 million to start replacing the lead pipe, and you give $9.5 million to Cody Foster to put in an NGO in business. That's where the stupidity begins. But what was interesting today about Father Nikolai was him talking to me, because I was I'm worried about Dan Bongino leaving the FBI. what does he just see that it's so broken that did he say to himself, I can't change the FBI, or I just don't have the patience to do it, or it's okay if it's, I make $30 million over here being an entertainer, I'm going to go do that. And that's what I want to do, is I want to make some money back in the real estate business and try to be as effective as I can to help make change around this place. And I've been getting some notes from people about change and wanting to be involved. And I love you all for that. And the other day, I'll tell you even more than ever, I met a person that says, hey, I watch your shows. I'm thinking, wow, hey, maybe. Well, anyway, didn't mean to go all Neanderthal on you. But I am a single man, and I can think that way. It's America. But, and I try to be a little entertaining. If you can't laugh at yourself, get a good laugh going. But it's better to laugh than to cry. And for those of you that can't see what's really going on in Topeka, you're the same people. You are the same people that can't see what's going on a national level. It's not, think about it. They call Trump a Nazi, and a dictator, but Obamacare, you had to buy it. We're going to make you buy something no matter what. You got to buy it. Even if you don't need it, you got to buy it. That was not cool. And why aren't we just giving money to the people? Let's just forget the insurance company. Hey, look, forget the insurance company. Hey, look, this is the best we can do. This is the best we can do as how much money is profited from the insurance companies? And look, and this is what's crazy about politics. You look at every level. Okay, so Mike Halligan was saying something about, well, if I put the real estate in a trust and it's never exchanged, well, there's a point in time that property's going to get sold even if it sits in a trust. And if it sits in a trust forever for your family, well, so be it. That one's just the deal. But we can solve property tax today. We can. The only good part of politics that ever came out of California is Proposition 13. The only way ever to figure the market value is what a person's willing to pay and a person is willing to sell. So that's market value. So that from now on, and then these hokey, the Shawnee County appraisers can pound sand. They're terrible. I mean, look at it. Look at some of the I've shown a bunch of stuff. That's another thing that I'm going to stop doing. I can't start at square one with everybody and start, for some people that tune into the show, it's like I got to tie their shoes. And I'm complicated as it goes anyway because I'm an inventor. I've got to invent a way to make a living. I got to invent ways to put deals together. So back to the Huntoon, or let's just go back to, let's wrap up the Homestead Act of 2025. Then you look at the school system. Think about it. We haven't even gotten better than Brown versus Board. And what do I mean by that? We have 72 routes times $400 a day per route by 180 school days, whatever. It comes to like 5 million. So if we just did away with busing, I was principal of the day at McClure School, and I just thought the kids looked poor. And then I found out that it's the school, who goes to what school and who's bused. It's a racial equation of how many Mexicans, how many whites, how many blacks. You know, it's not about education and going to the school next to you. The last thing the school board needs to do is some sort of science project to get the right amount of colors at the right, forget it, stop it. I feel like it just takes away. Did we really evolve from Brown versus Board of Education? But that's the problem with government, is government thinks they're smarter than just the regular people. Well, the Brown family said, something, look, we live right by a school. We should be able to go to it. They shouldn't get bussed over to another school. There were 5 black schools, and the black schools got first choice of the teachers. That way, they were separate but equal. The blacks couldn't complain that they didn't get good teachers. They got first choice of all of them. But I'll tell you one thing I did like about going to McClure School was how much the teachers liked being there. That was comforting. And the administration, the principal and the assistant principal, man, they know everybody. They know all these little kids by their first name. The assistant principal, I would have known her as a kid. But anyway, she's a Desjardins. One of my dearest and oldest friends, Pete Desjardins, that's his daughter-in-law. But she's just cute as a bug. But anyway, the nice thing about, and I think I pandered a little during the campaign, appeasement, trying to appease certain voters, and the biggest mistake I ever made was taking campaign contributions. I should have just held the line. I got $5,000, and the people that did donate just handed me money. I didn't really go out and raise money. But think about it, Mr. Your priorities now, lobbyist. Think of all the favors he owes. $90,000, and he spent. How can you spend all that personal money for $40,000 a year? Because he wants to be a professional politician, and I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Because I think it was all rhetoric. But hey, we got 4 years to find out. But I still represent 4,111 people. Maybe. I think they all knew I was pro-Trump. But what was cool today was Father Nikolai talking about faith and don't lose faith in Trump, and how he's redoing the money system, and just how smart Trump is. And then another priest I know who, the Episcopalians have disappointed me with their political, like the bishop talked down to the President of the United States. She had a time to be godly. Pray for him. If you don't really like his ways, pray for him. That's your job. But look, that's what happened. We let women be in the priesthood. Oh, but hey, there's a woman priest at Grace. I love her. She's great. And I think she happens to be a lesbian, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. But when she preaches from her heart, you can see it. That doesn't matter. Over time, I've been fiscally conservative in my beliefs and more socially moderate. I think the older I get, I become more and more conservative. But they're, c'est la vie, live and let live. It's certain things. Anyway, I got some dental work done today. Where they do that deep cleaning. And what a great bunch of people down there at Southwind Dentistry. Hey, I love them people. They're really nice. I got to go across the street and look at Walker Bassett stuff. But back to, is anybody even watching? I can't tell. See, well, it doesn't really matter. But anyway, back to the Orthodox Church. The Orthodox priest compared to the Episcopalian priests that I know, they're like night and day. I like the conservative priest from the Orthodox point of view. I don't dislike the Episcopalian priest. I helped this guy when he moved to town and done this and that, but I'm not going to let things that he says and do and, his liberal beliefs and misunderstanding about really the way politics works. I'm not going to let that get in the way of friendship. You shouldn't, right? Who knows? Maybe out of this whole thing, maybe I'm maturing a little by little. But you sure find out who your friends are when you run for office. But I'm telling you, don't be afraid about it. So we need to start getting, we need to look at the city council and start getting backups. I think there's some that up there that would vote differently. They just don't want to stand out. Like the Maverick system, the Maverick deal. Our city blew it on Maverick. Our city blew it on the hotel. Our city. So let me ask you this real quick. So the county, Kevin, it is what it is, Cook. Kevin Cook, known as Bobblehead. So Kevin Cook is on the board of Go Topeka. Rich Eckert, his attorney, is on the board of Go Topeka. So you've got the county councilor, who's basically the fourth commissioner, and Kevin Cook. They're on the board of Go Topeka. Then you got the mayor and you got the mayor, the deputy mayor, and the mayor and the city manager on the board of directors at Go Topeka. So our city manager the other day voted to give $9.5 million to Cody Foster, where he should have been the voice of reason. Well, he's not managing our city. He's a politician now. Hey, city manager, you should be wanting that $9.5 million for the roads. So you've got two employees, upper level employees, the city manager and the county councilor, who's basically the fourth commissioner, the mayor and the county commissioner on the board of Go Topeka. At what point in time does that become a government organization? And then they funded an NGO, so it's just basically going to be so they can launder money. And that's one thing I want to do in my lifetime is let's look back and see, where did all the $125 million go? Where did it all go? Originally, it was to grow the population and make land shovel ready. And now it's like a bank. loaning money, giving away money, and that, well, it's going to have a 750% return. You know, look, like, we didn't hire E.F. Hutton. We were hoping you could get people here in new industry. But the thing about it, all the corporate welfare didn't bring your taxes down. And we had to put housing out there. So the, put housing out there on the company farm. Anyway. Henry McClure, the voice of the rest of us. I'm not going to put myself in the league of Donald J. Trump. But look, they've tried to murder him. They've used lawfare. He is, his voice is fingernails on the chalkboard to the left. Maybe my voice is fingers on the chalkboard to the establishment. And I want to dismantle the establishment in Topeka. We've got to let the people have more of a say in the city. To the lead heads out there drinking lead, Sandy Lassiter, we need to have your daughter as a lawyer. We ought to be looking into a class action suit. If we just start suing the city to ruins, well, maybe some point in time we'll get a change of government. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. Trump has been able to defend himself legally. The establishment can't come after me. I got nothing to get. You want to take my camera away from me? I wouldn't. We got to make changes. We got to change. And you know something? I need to change my act. I got work to do. I got real estate deals to do. So I need your help. Somebody buy the church and turn it into a house. Somebody buy all the land that I've got out there on Adams and 35 and make a subdivision. I'll tell you what, it'd make just a great lot for a single family house. Just put one house in there. I got work to do. I got to help them raise some money to build their new church on Gage. Anyway, I've ranted. I'm going to call it a day. What time is it? This computer needs to be reset. But I'm live here in Topeka, Kansas. Henry McClure live in the Glass Houses studio. If nobody's told you they love you today,